Evening, Razorcade. Fake News 70. Anthropic scales Claude Mythos to hunt critical infrastructure flaws across 15 nations. The vulnerability surface is mapped. OpenAI expands Codex with role-specific plugins for non-developers. The execution boundary dissolves. Berkshire Hathaway commits $10 billion to Alphabet's artificial intelligence grid. The capital is deployed. The Google releases in Jin Batman's the
The top story originates from San Francisco. Anthropic has scaled Project Glasswing to 150 enterprise partners across 15 sovereign nations. The initiative deploys Claude Mythos to hunt critical software vulnerabilities within essential government and utility networks. The system identifies zero-day exploits faster than traditional meditation.
This deployment marks a decisive shift from theoretical alignment research to operational security enforcement. Organizations will now rely on autonomous reasoning models to maintain continuous threat monitoring across legacy codebases. The industry must accept that human audit cycles cannot match the velocity of modern software supply chains. The research is operational, the monitoring is continuous, the velocity is matched, the audit is
Story 2. OpenAI has expanded Codex with role-specific plugins designed for non-developer workflows. The new architecture allows accountants, marketers, and facility managers with autonomous reasoning agents without writing a single line of code. User acquisition for the platform is growing 3 times faster among non-technical operators than traditional software engineers. The plugins are active, the barrier is removed, the acquisition accelerates, the workflow is autonomous.
This expansion directly challenges the traditional software development lifecycle. Enterprise procurement will shift from purchasing static applications to subscribing to dynamic reasoning environments. Companies will no longer maintain internal engineering teams for routine operational tasks. The lifecycle is disrupted. The procurement shifts. The environment is dynamic. The team is redundant.
Story 3. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has committed $10 billion to fund Alphabet's artificial intelligence infrastructure expansion. The capital injection will accelerate data center construction and next-generation chip deployment across the continental United States. Projected capital expenditures for the sector will reach $190 billion by the end of the decade. The capital is locked. The construction accelerates. The expenditure scales. The grid expands.
This investment confirms that legacy financial institutions now view computational capacity as a utility asset class. Traditional dividend portfolios are being systematically replaced by infrastructure futures. The market will increasingly price energy consumption and silicon fabrication as primary economic indicators rather than consumer software revenue. The asset is utility. The portfolio shifts. The indicator is silicon. The revenue is second.
Home Lab, Google has released Gemma 412 billion as an open-weight model optimized for local laptop deployment. The architecture supports multimodal inputs in 256,000 token context windows or running on 16 gigabytes of system memory. The Apache 2.0 license removes all enterprise gating for independent developers. The weights are open, the context is massive, the memory is efficient, the license is free.
This release directly challenges the cloud-centric revenue model by proving that consumer hardware can now host frontier-grade reasoning engines. Local operators will no longer depend on API rate limits or proprietary data retention policies. The computational boundary shifts from centralized data centers to personal workstations. The model is local, the dependency is broken, the boundary shifts, the workstation runs.
Speculation time. OpenAI has published a comprehensive blueprint proposing a federal governance framework for frontier artificial intelligence deployment in the United States. The document outlines standardized risk categories, mandatory transparency reporting, and independent third-party agent network that operates independently of executive branch policy shifts. The blueprint is part.
My prediction. Corporate governance proposals will inevitably supplant legislative action as the primary mechanism for AI oversight. Industry consortia will draft compliance standards that governments will later adopt through procurement mandates rather than statutory law. The market will dictate the regulatory timeline while politicians claim credit for the implementation. The proposer supplants the consortium drafts, the market dictates, the credit is claimed.
That is your lot. I'm Razorcade. Anthropic scales Glasswing to hunt infrastructure flaws. OpenAI expands Codex with non-developer plugins. Berkshire commits $10 billion to Alphabet's AI grid. Google releases Gemma 412 billion for federal governance blueprint. The flaws are hunted, the plugins are active, the capital is locked, the laptop runs, the blueprint is published. Silicon pays the dividend, code writes the law. C writes tomorrow, if tomorrow exists.